Hey guys, I've been getting a lot of questions between iPhone SE 32 gig and 128 gig. What's the difference? Well, between these two, it's just the gigs, it's nothing else. So if you go into tech, there we go. So as you can see, you can select any color you want, and whether it's at 32 gig or to 128 gig, that's it. That's the difference between them, the amount of gigs that you have inside the phone. So that's the capacity, how much memory you're gonna have inside. If you go throughout all the specs, it's the same height, they have the same display, everything's the same. The chip, camera, video recording, everything, they will have the same touch ID, everything, literally everything that one has, the other one just has. It's just about the gigs. That's the only difference that you'll see between the two. Now, if you ask me, which one you should actually get. So let's just go back up. So we're doing the difference between the 32 and 128 gig. All right. So if you guys are thinking of buying an iPhone SE at this point, I actually wouldn't, because right now at this moment, when you see that this video was made on YouTube, so just look at the date that this was made. We already have the iPhone X that came out, right? iPhone 10. So that means iPhone SE might stop at some point the updates for it, okay? So maybe with iOS 12, you won't be able to install that on iPhone SE. I'm not sure about that, but it could happen, right? Or when iOS 13 comes out, you might not be able to install that OS into this iPhone. Now that usually happens with older models, right? But it usually happens even more and a little bit faster with these special phones that Apple makes. So as you know, iPhone SE is like the cheap version of an iPhone 6S because they have almost identical things. All right. Your iPhone SE doesn't have that 3D touch that an iPhone 6S does have, but they both have the 4K camera and they have a bunch of stuff that's similar. However, they made this one like, let's say, the cheap version. So you can compare this with an iPhone 5C that came out before. All right. And what Apple does is that they stop the updates usually for this cheaper model. From what I've seen, the phone itself, this is actually very well made. So I don't like to call it cheap, but this is their cheap model, all right, if you compare it to other iPhones on their lineup. Anyways, I hope I just answer your questions about the gigs. It's just this, all right, and you cannot expand the gig. So if you're thinking, oh, I can just put like an Android, like an SD card, right? No, you can't do that on iPhones. There are adapters, so you can plug in an SD card to the iPhone, but it's just to transfer information. It's not really to keep information there. So don't think that you can always have that plugged in. There's even cases that have that. There's cases that will charge your phone and stuff like that. But those cases are pretty expensive, and if you really need to transfer information that way, then do it. But other than that, I would just use the million of tools that are online right now, such as Dropbox and iCloud. iCloud is limited, but anyways, like I said, Dropbox and Google, there's a bunch of stuff that you can use online in order to transfer information without having to connect anything anyways. So whether you guys are thinking of getting a 32 gig or 128 gig, you guys just have to think whether you want to record maybe a lot of video with this phone. Do you want to record all your videos at 4K? Do you really need that? Maybe the only reason I would see people needing to record videos at 4K is that you're gonna display them on your TV, and I'm assuming you have a 4K TV and not a standard 1080p. A ton of people still have the 1080p, and a ton of people don't ever display their videos on a TV anyways. So you might not even need the 128 gigs. 32 gigs at this point in time, it is pretty limited. However, I can see a lot of people getting away with it. The 128 gig is gonna be the more comfortable, all right? If you want to take a lot of videos, photos, not have to worry about space. Especially if you like high-end apps or if you like gaming on your iPhone, you might consider something like this as well, because there are some games that the weight themselves is like about 1 to 2 gigs or even more. I've seen games that are 3 gigs right now each. So you can see how that would build up, right? But if you're just using the standard apps like Facebook, Twitter, then I can see a lot of people getting away with 32 gigs, and that's it. Anyways, hopefully this video helped you guys out in making your decision. If you guys have any questions, comments, you can write them down here below in the comments area. And don't forget to subscribe and rate. Thank you.